So I've noticed a couple of comments asking about my personal involvement with gangs. Some of you guys seem to be intrigued, so I figured why not make a storytime video out of it. But before we get into the video, just a little tiny disclaimer. The picture used in the thumbnail is completely unrelated. But anyways, on with the story. Growing up in Koreatown, I was exposed to the lifestyle pretty early on. When I was in 6th grade, I got taxed by the local Asian hoods. This was definitely a culture shock to me because up until the 5th grade, I grew up in Denver, Colorado. So the LA lifestyle was still pretty new to me. Growing up, I was always a skater. So naturally, I was always outside with the homies. And I used to skate with this skate group that called themselves the Rebels. I know, corny as shit. But anyways, everybody in this group was Korean. And there was this one dude with the older brother from the set. And he would talk about it a lot, and it got me curious about the lifestyle. By the end of 8th grade, I was skating a lot less and started getting into a lot more trouble. I was running around with a group of homies, and we were getting into all kinds of shit. Crashing house parties, jacking fools, flocking houses, smoking, drinking, all of that. You get the picture. But none of us were gang members. We were just a bunch of young kids running around K-Town thinking we were hot shit. Out of the group of homies, there was one dude that I considered my best friend, and his older brother got put on the set. I remember meeting up with his brother with the homie after he had just got put on. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw his face, he looked rough. But I remember we had a little conversation, and my homie had asked him, what made you want to cross that line? What made you want to get your put on, get your official? I remember his older brother saying something along the lines of, well, it was for the brotherhood, but mainly for the connections. Growing up, I was always slanging something on the side. In high school, I would sell spicy chicken sandwiches that I'd buy from Carl's Jr. for $1. And turn around and sell them at school for $2. And I would sell out by lunchtime. And I'm talking 50 plus sandwiches. And I wasn't the only one doing this. Eventually, I started slinging ecstasy and weed and shit like that. And this was when Pokeballs were going crazy. So I was making a decent amount of money. And of course, I got robbed first starting out. But that's a story for another video. So me being a slanger, I understood why my homie's older brother got put on the set. The set just has the best prices when it comes to a lot of shit. They got the connections for sure. So after my homie's older brother got put on, we started hanging out with the other big homies a lot more. They would give me an allowance and make sure I was good. They always had the nicest whips and they always had money for momos and shit. So the lifestyle was pretty enticing as a youngster. And I'm not gonna lie, at one point, I did make up my mind that I did want to get put on. But what steered me away was my drug issues. Around the same time I was kicking it with the big homies, I started getting into meth pretty heavily. And they made it pretty clear that they were against that type of shit. At the time, I was at a really dark place in my life. I was fresh out of camp, my dad had just passed away, real rocky relationship with my mom, and I didn't want to feel anything. So I chose to dive deeper into my addiction. And that's what ultimately isolated me from all of my peers. From that point, it was solo dolo 24/7. Cause it wouldn't be long before my mom kicked me out of the house. After getting kicked out, I was doing a lot of people wrong, jacking people, robbing anybody. I was on some grimy shit, and it's not something I'm proud of, but I got jumped a couple times for it. But again, that's a story for another video. Long story short, drugs saved me from getting deep into the gang life. And to be honest, I'm just not that type of dude, and I can admit that. Prior to this, I had already been to camp, juvenile hall, and I seen what real active gang members do on a daily fucking basis. Taking flight on sight, locking legs, beefing with all the enemies, running fades. And to be quite honest, I already knew that this wasn't something that I wanted to sign up for. And as a man, I can admit, I'm probably just not cut from that type of cloth. You guys are gonna have to guess which hood I'm talking about in this video because in my opinion, that part doesn't really matter in this story. But for everybody watching from K-Town that knows me personally, you'll know what I'm talking about. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, but until next time, I'll be seeing you guys later. Peace!